hereby given that a regular council meeting of the town of Laguna Vista, Texas will be held Tuesday, the 14th day of April 2020 at 6 o'clock p.m. in the City Hall building at 122 Fernandez Street, Laguna Vista, Texas. Call to order at 6:07. Please rise and join us in the invocation pledge.
Dear Lord, thank you that we can be gathered here today, and we invite your presence in, Father, and we pray for your guidance and your wisdom, and may we make decisions with the best of interests of this city. Be with the chief that doesn't feel well, and we also ask that you bless Frank in his new path, and whatever he may do, that he will be successful. Thank you for this beautiful day. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Roll call. Honor.
Mayor Houston.
Here.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Howard.
Here.
Councilmember Davalos.
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilmember Worrell.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Thank you. Item 4, open forum. Due to the COVID-19 emergency, the town will stream the meeting on the town's Facebook page at www.facebook.com/ldtexas/. Viewers will be allowed to comment during our live stream on any topic. Comments submitted after the close of the open forum may be read at the end of the meeting. Each commenter will be identified by Facebook name. There's no discussion or formal action taken during this agenda item. And we have proclamation. So, Mr. Davalos, would you stand? Is it on him?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we go with the Davalos. You all want to come over here and join me? So we can send him off with our well wishes. Is that the camera?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm sorry. We're gonna get some from the public.
Very unusual for a.
Don't be. Whereas Frank Davalos Jr. was elected as council member for Place 3 on the May 2014 for a 3-year term, Frank Davalos was re-elected as council member for Place 3 in May 2017 for a 3-year term. Whereas Frank Davalos Jr. served as mayor pro tem 2018 to 2019 during his tenure as council member, and served as the town's Community Development Corporation Board in 2005 and 2013. And he served on the town's Planning and Zoning Commission in 2013. He has a perfect attendance during his 6 years tenure as a council member, never missing a regular, special, or emergency meeting. He has served his community with dedication, honesty, and with heart. Now therefore let it be resolved by the Laguna Vista Town Council that the citizens of Laguna Vista do hereby extend their gratitude and appreciation to Frank Davalos Jr. for his service and dedication to our community throughout the years. In witness thereof, I have caused the seal of the town of Laguna Vista to be affixed this 14th day of April 2020. And certificate of attendance, perfect attendance, presented to Frank Davalos Jr. The town of Laguna Vista would like to recognize Mr. Davalos for never missing a meeting during his years of service from 2014 to 2020. Congratulations. Shake
Thank you.
Item 5, proclamation designating the month of April as National Autism Awareness Month. Do we have the proclamation on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll do it. We have a proclamation designated the month of April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we have a proclamation designating April 15, 2020 as the Day of Prayer in the town of Laguna Vista. Councilman Davalos, who brought this to our attention. Tomorrow we have claimed as not National Day of Prayer, Town Day of Prayer. Thank you, Councilman Davalos, for bringing this forefront. Appreciate that. Okay, item 8, consent agenda items. All matters listed under this item are routine by the council and will be enacted for approval by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separate. Discussion, motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I'll second it.
Motion on the floor by Councilman Davalos, seconded by Councilman Carter to approve the consent agenda items.
Mayor Houston,
Yes.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Councilmember Howard, Councilmember Howard,
Yeah?
okay. Councilmember Davalos,
Yes.
Councilmember Royal,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Motion passed. New business. We have a presentation from Cameron County Commissioner David Garza on our Ecotourism Center. Mr. Garza, Commissioner Garza, welcome.
Can I be heard?
We hear you.
Go ahead.
He lost his sound.
Oh, it's going fast. Maybe signal too.
Yes. No, we can't hear you.
Hold on, we can't hear you.
Mayor, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me or somebody there?
Okay, now we can hear you.
Well, in spite of everything that we have going on, there's challenges around us, this COVID virus, I bring good news to you today. I wish to inform you that today, Commissioners Court approved a contract with Noble Texas Builders for the construction of the Cameron County South Texas Ecotourism Center. And we awarded a contract for $9,162,557, okay? With a 330 calendar day completion for this work that they would be producing for us. I also want to let you know that besides this $9.162 million that we've already spent, $750,332.81 on architectural and other work that has been done, and that includes the EPA match that we're working with the city on. Also, we've awarded a separate contract to Scott Clark, which is the exhibit design people that are doing all the exhibits for the center. That contract is for $1.286,990.26 million. So the total commitment from the county to the city for this project is $11,189,780.10. And of course, none of this would have been possible without the city of Laguna Vista's commitment of the 10 acres on which this facility is being developed on. We are excited. We are ready to go. We will be hopefully within the next 30 days issuing a notice to proceed to the contractor so that we can commence the work. We anticipate the work taking about a year, about a calendar year to be finished. So it's been quite challenging because many of the subcontractors or the contractor are, they're all having their issues with this COVID problem that we're all encountering. So, they're ready to go. Everybody's excited. And I will entertain any questions that you might have in regards to what we've done up to now, or, hear any comments that any of you wish to share with me at this point.
Any question? Anyone have questions?
Just thank you.
Yeah, that's incredible for the community that the county's doing that investment in Laguna Vista. And personally, I think, it's amazing.
Commissioner, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Has the property been platted yet?
The property, the 10 acres have, the other piece is in the process, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And, you know, I do wish to say that without your cooperation and your work on this, we would be nowhere close to where we are today. It's you know, the excitement that we, even all of Commissioner Court has had in regards to what this development would bring to the town of Laguna Vista and the potential that can occur there is immense. I know that our planning group in our county, Mark Yates and his group, have offered to your municipality any of their services that they can help with, or any potential grants to develop the rest of it, or any potential actions that need to be taken. We're willing to help you. All you have to do is let us know, and they're ready and ready to go for that also. So, you know, we're excited. I'll be very honest with you. This morning, I didn't sleep much last night because we've had so many things come up at the county with COVID-19 that I really did not know if we were gonna be able to get this passed today or not. It's challenging times for us. But, you know, not one of the dollars that we're spending on this particular project in your town is money from our local taxpayers. It is all venue tax generated money that is come to us from visitors to the area. And we hope that this attraction will only enhance that, and more importantly, for the town of Laguna Vista, be able to be the anchor for a development that you all will be proud of, and hopefully will have a huge positive impact on the town of Laguna Vista. I feel humbled to just be part of this project with you guys. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to me and taking me serious, you know, because many people at the beginning thought it was pie in the sky. You know, and look where we are today.
It's true.
I remember those early meetings. Thank you so much, Commissioner, and thank the rest of the commission and the judge. We appreciate everything you all have done and look forward to when this is complete.
So I ask that you please thank, again, as you just did, the commissioners and the judge that supported me on this project, because they are the ones who made this happen for us.
But you started it. You started it. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Very excited.
Stay safe.
I will do my best, and if there's anything, as I told you the other day, Mayor, that the town needs, that the county can help with, do not hesitate to call us.
Right, will do. Thank you so much. Is there no further questions on this?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Mhm.
All right, let's go to item B. Consideration and action to approve resolution number 2020-10 designated April 2020 as Fair Housing Month. Mr. Mesa?
Yes, that was requested, that we pass a resolution that celebrates the housing. It's the anniversary of the enactment of the Federal Housing Act of 1968, which states that discrimination in the sale and rental of housing is illegal when based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. And this is the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988 extend fair housing rights on the basis of familial status to families with children and on the basis of handicap to disabled persons. Whereas the town of Laguna Vista supports fair housing efforts to eliminate discrimination in housing, in order to heighten public awareness, the town of Laguna Vista wishes to focus public attention on April as Fair Housing Month. And then that's what you told me.
All right. Does anybody have questions for Mr. Mesa? No further questions. Let's have a motion.
Make a motion to accept, resolution 2020-10.
Motion on the floor by Councilman Royal, seconded by Councilwoman Smith, to accept resolution number 2020-10.
Mayor Houston?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Howard? Yes. Councilmember Davalos?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilmember Worel?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item C, this is consideration and action, possible action to approve the recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Commission to replat original town site, block 554, lots 7, 10, and 11. Mr. Mesa?
Yes, this was, as you said, it was approved by the planning and zoning, back at their meeting
March 9th.
March 9th, thank you. And what they want to do, they want to take from replanting from 3 properties to 2. And it's located at, it's block 554, lot 7, 10, and 11, original council.
What street is this on? That's okay.
Bone, it's on Bone Boulevard.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have biscuit.
It's on the corner of
Okay.
I'm gonna
I
give
know.
you another-
I didn't see that.
Thank you.
This street.
Thank you. Got it.
Is he there in the corner?
Yes.
Any discussion on this? Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the replatting.
I'll second.
Who was that? Was that you, Victor? Did you second?
I'll second.
Motion on the floor made by Councilwoman Smith, seconded by Councilman Royal to approve the replatting.
Next routine.
Problem?
No, I'm just,
Okay, all right.
sorry about that.
That's okay. Make sure before we vote.
Yeah,
Okay,
Mayor Houston?
yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Howard? Yes. Councilmember Davalos?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilmember Worel?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item D, consideration and possible action to adopt, to deny resolution to deny AEP Texas Inc.'s application for rate increase in related matters. Ed?
Yes, I'd like to refer this to our attorney, so he could explain it better than I can.
Thank you, and I want to apologize, Mayor, that was my typo. Omission of the word "to" in between resolution and deny. This is another one of those rate increase applications by AEP. I believe, in fact, I think it was
Just had
maybe
one.
my first meeting
Yeah.
with the town, y'all were considering the last one, so that, it's that time of year again, they're asking for it again. And they've included a draft resolution, which is the same as it always is, just basically we're approving our involvement as a group of municipalities in the opposition to AEP's rate increase request. That'll go before the commission, and they'll deny, or they'll determine how much AEP gets to raise its rates. Any questions?
So, I'm just curious why you stated it as to deny it. So we want to start?
No, I'm sorry, my typo may have added confusion there. We're adopting a resolution denying their application. In other words, we're seeking to have our attorneys, the Lloyd Gosling firm, appear before the commission and have the commission deny its AEP's request for an additional rating.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was my.
No, that's good.
Any further questions? Motion?
Motion, resolution number 2020-11 to deny the rate increase for AEP.
I'll second it.
Motion on the floor made by Councilman Gonzalez, seconded by Councilman Carter, to deny AEP's application for rate increase in related matters.
Mayor Houston?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Howard? Councilmember Davalos? Councilmember Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilmember Worel?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Motion passes. Item E, consideration possible action to instruct the city manager and town attorney to consider every avenue available to ensure our November election goes forward. Councilmember Smith and Worrell, this was put on the agenda, so
Yes, ma'am.
you have the floor.
Thank you. We were just thinking that we don't want to get in the same pickle we just were in. I think every city in the country should do this. You know, we don't know how long this is going to last. and the potential consequences, so I would think we should be proactive and start taking steps and look into every avenue possible in case we're still in lockdown, God forbid, by November, that our elections and our constitutional right to vote continues.
Sure. I've got some recommendations on how we do that. Basically, the situation as it stands right now under the governor's proclamation is a little different in November. In that unless the governor changes the proclamation, the county would not be in a position to deny us the help come November. That's expressly worded in the governor's proclamation that allowed us to move the election. Whereas they had no obligation, whereas the county had no obligation under the May election timeframe, they do have an obligation to assist us in the November election time. So that's one thing, but we're not just going to rely on that. Even though I don't think it might be completely legally necessary for us to reorder the election for November, I'm going to recommend we do it anyway. And in that order, we will omit that language that required us to use a specific company for the disabled ballot, satisfying that requirement. In addition, I'm going to see, again, using the November election timeframe, if we can apply for a waiver from that requirement. I'm not sure that we'd be eligible for it, but we can apply for it and see what happens. In other words, we may not have to satisfy that requirement come November. The reason I say we might not be eligible for it because I think it's based on population, but I do recall there being a clause that allowed us to look to the number of people who requested to utilize those special services in our last election, which would be a couple of years before. So if we had a low enough number there, we may be able to qualify. And so with all of those things in place, again, assuming no new drastic proclamation from the governor, we should be able to handle our own election if by some chance the county gets some additional relief from the governor and is in a position to deny us the assistance again. I don't think that's going to happen because it's not part of the governor's current order. And also the shutdown or the lockdown appears to be losing steam at the state level, even though it seems to be gaining steam at the local level in a lot of places. So, but no one knows. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But those are the things that I would recommend. So there'll be nothing to do tonight on it, but I will make sure that the city manager and city secretary are conscious of the calendar that applies to a November election, and that a couple of months before November we are getting in an application related to whether or not we can waive those special voting requirements and not have to do it.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
No.
And also look into making sure that we have enough vote-in ballots available, and I'm not sure exactly how that process works, but if we get to the point that there's so many people that's feeling uncomfortable to vote, that we have enough, that our mail-in ballots, I have no idea how that system works, but if we are on top of that and we have options available for people that wants to mail in vote and all those things.
We will be required to comply with the notice that allows users of the voting by mail or absentee ballot system to utilize it. But up to now, the governor nor the Texas legislature has issued has loosened those requirements. And so in other words, I know there's been a lot of talk around the country about that being the solution to social distancing during an election and all that. Texas law still doesn't permit a general use of mail-in ballots or absentee ballots. There are very specific circumstances that have to apply. Those haven't been loosened. If they do get loosened by November, then we'll certainly include a provision in our order that says, to the extent possible, to the extent allowed by law, anyone who can use it may use it. But as it stands right now, it still has the same restrictions that it always had that don't take into account the social distancing issue.
So no motion.
Well, yeah, we're not even anywhere near the deadlines that would apply to a November election, but I will give the city manager and city secretary a recommendation for making sure that and I think it's still the council's desire that we use the normal county system that we've always used, but if they somehow pull the rug out from under us, that we're able to do it on our own. Am I correct in that we still want to do it that way? Okay, good. I'll make sure that we satisfy all those deadlines that would apply to a situation like that, and that the language in our order doesn't lock us into having to rely on a system that's utilized by the county. And you can expect that to be acting on that sometime around August. So it's not too far away, but those are the normal deadlines. Any questions?
Item F, consideration and possible action to adopt procedural guidelines, Councilmembers Smith and Morrow.
Okay, well, it's nice to have this, finally. And, there's something that we do that's just, it has, stuck in my craw since we started doing it. And, basically what I'd like to say is that it's generally accepted that the chair has an additional influence due to her unique position. And, I feel that she should vote last in any situation, where a roll call vote is taken in order to prevent the situation that every subsequent vote is either with or against the chair. Traditionally, on a board type setting, the chair votes last, and only when it affects the outcome. I'm not asking for that kind of thing, but I think that it is a situation that we're in right now, that when the mayor votes first, every other vote is either perceived to be with or against the mayor's vote. And I would suggest that we just put her at the end of the order, that's all.
Good idea.
So that being said, I'd make a motion that the mayor will be called after the council and any vote requiring a roll call.
Before we vote, Alan and I were talking about when this was changed. Frankie, do you remember when we started with the roll call?
Yes.
2 years ago?
It was before I was here.
It was before you were here?
I think you're right.
No, not a roll call, where she checks us off.
Yeah, well, it's in the
That's
charter.
recently, yeah, that's
Is it in
recently.
the charter?
Probably after the
It's in
charter.
the
Yeah.
charter.
That specifically isn't.
Yeah, because
That's
Alan
right.
was looking and,
Well, we didn't
I don't
follow that, so we just recently started following the charter,
right,
yeah.
and that's
It
what
was
I was
about a year
thinking.
ago.
I was asking the mayor before the meeting, when did we adopt a roll call vote? And I've read the charter provision that I'm sure everyone is thinking about. I don't read it necessarily to require a roll call vote. I think you can read it in a number of ways. There's some language in this policy here that doesn't quite mention a roll call vote either, but almost has some language that indicates that roll call is not normal. The only reason I bring it up is because Laguna is the only city that I've ever worked with that does a roll call vote on every matter. Usually that happens when there's some question as to how people voted and some member of the body requests a roll call vote, just so that there's clarity. We happen to do it on every matter. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing illegal about it. And if that's the way the charter has been interpreted for all these years, there's no reason to.
Well, it says
Fix-
voting except on procedural motions shall be by roll call, and the ayes and nays shall be recorded in the minutes. If it's not a roll call vote, then that should not be in there.
Well, that's,
That's what the city charter.
yeah, I'm thinking of some other language. I mean, that's a pretty strong indicator that it's very
That's what it says here in the charter.
The charter, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and maybe it's the qualification language at the beginning that was making me think, well, it's really not.
That's why, because I'm the one who complained.
Sure.
That's why, because it's specific.
It's specific, sure.
And you're the one that brought it up
Yeah.
a couple of years ago.
I was, yeah.
Right, and
Well, the procedural change we're talking about here in the motion, I mean, that wouldn't require any significant amount of work at all. Basically, we're just modifying the one or two sentences in here that might impact that. So, yes, I mean, in other words, it doesn't impact with the charter, doesn't influence or require a change to the charter. I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's not a situation that I've seen in other communities, but yeah, like I said, if that's the way that it's been interpreted.
Well, to me, because I mean, there's some times where council members will be quiet, they won't
Right.
say anything.
Okay.
And then that's been said as a yes vote.
Right.
And then they'll go back in public and say, oh, no, I was against it. Well, that doesn't make sense.
I think that's why-
Yes or no, and
Yeah.
with this, it's specific, you can't lie.
In the places where I've been, I think that's why it's preferred, so
That's
that
why
it gives
I-
people wiggle room, yeah. No, I was just telling Ed that, all the other communities, sometimes it's barely even audible how people vote.
Yeah,
And
that's
like
how
you
they
said,
get away with it.
they give people some deniability. But, yeah, it's in other words, I don't think there's anything that would prevent you from taking action on that motion tonight. The fact that we don't have a draft of it, I can easily just write a sentence into this document here that would effectuate the motion.
should the motion be to amend this? Because all we have to, a majority vote of this body will amend this. It says that in here.
I think the motion already does.
Already does.
Yeah, I don't think we need to amend
There you
it.
go.
Well, just to back Victor up, I was just, excuse me,
That's okay, go ahead and I'll.
was just to, I felt like, as the incoming mayor, I would understand that sometimes, sometimes people have a pretty strong opinion, and I don't ever want somebody to feel that they're gonna now vote against me or for me, and I can see where that can come in. I would want people to feel like they can independently vote on an issue without feeling that they're gonna be somehow against or for the mayor, whichever one it may be,
No,
just
absolutely.
to back that up.
And it is the norm in communities that where the mayor only votes in the event of tie, that by necessity, the mayor has to vote last, and that's it, because you don't know there's a tie unless everyone else votes first. Of course, we don't have that issue here, but it does sort of create that norm that you referred to, Council.
And Victor, I'm assuming that I don't know who put the order. I don't know where that came from.
Oh, yeah, no, no.
Where does it say that?
It probably
So-
just landed that way one day when Alma called it, and
Start
they
with the
continued
mayor,
on it,
go
you
1,
know,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I'm not saying that anything was done
I
maliciously or
was just thinking
intentionally.
about that, where
It
who
just-
decided what order and,
Right, Robert's rules actually says you're supposed to go alphabetically, but, in a,
I like going by
on a board
case.
where everybody's numbered,
yeah,
you know.
Well, that's why whenever we, discuss it, like, sometimes felt maybe you were put on the spot, Mike, because you always have to vote first, and I sometimes felt like, well, I don't really have a voice because I voted last.
now you're on the spot.
I am always on the spot.
So, we were
I don't mind being on the spot, believe me,
we just wanna talk about, what you guys
I'll
think.
vote my piece, but.
What you guys feel, how we should do that, if there's
Yeah.
any way, we can still do it.
But I also, I will say, I don't like the roll call vote.
Well, that's
I
our
like
charter, so that's not-
I like the way we used to do it better than the roll call vote. I think I think it gives less pressure to people to vote how they feel versus being on the spot.
How was that again? We just started with place one and went through the whole, what did we do again?
What's that?
Oh, how did that work again?
Before you would just say, all the yeas
All
say
the
yea and all the
ayes.
nays say nay.
That's how it usually.
And I would
Okay.
watch hands.
And it was,
That's how traditionally,
in
that's
my
how it works in
opinion,
most
it is a less on the spot. You can still vote your conscience, but it's more of a yes or no, just, you're not.
I just think it's an easy way for someone just to slide on in there and not say anything, and I've seen that happen.
Well, we can't change that because that's in the charter.
That's in the
So
charter,
that's not the
yeah.
discussion, like, if, unfortunately, we can, I guess, change that eventually if we want, but right
Well,
now,
And by charter,
It'd
we
be another charter amendment we'd have to take to the citizens and
yeah.
vote it in.
Eventually, you're probably gonna come across a split board and you're gonna have to decide which way to go. Probably not gonna happen that
No,
often.
that's why we're 7,
Yeah.
luckily, but,
And
Well,
it's all,
I
it's
would
all
like to
good.
know, I would like to know
It's all good.
where you read that we don't need a roll call vote.
No, I mean, it does use the phrase roll call vote. There was some qualifying language there regarding whether or not the motions were procedural or that kind of thing. And then I was familiar with the town's history of not having done a roll call vote. I mean, I think the majority or the weight of interpretation would support the way we're doing it now, where that way we're honoring the strict language of the charter, not quibbling about whether or not the motion on the table is truly procedural or not, or substantive. And so, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend that, given our interpretive history of that.
Yeah.
But there is some language in here that seems to indicate that a roll call vote is only used in those situations that I'm more familiar with, where there's some confusion about the vote. Again, this does not trump the charter in any way. This is just a policy document of the city. It's so much the norm that, like we were saying, people just sort of maybe slightly raise their hands or.
They should have put
Yeah.
voice vote.
Well, yeah,
Voice,
yeah.
instead of roll call.
Roll call. A voice vote would have probably achieved the
That's
same
not
thing
ayes and nays.
that someone
All
would
those in favor say aye.
have. But I mean, the charter says what it says. It was
I
drafted.
mean, it's
several
more
years ago.
transparent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are advantages and disadvantages on both sides,
Yeah.
but nothing that would cause me to say we really need to look into doing one or the other. It's the council's preference in terms of how we do our roll call. But the motion as stated and as seconded is sufficient, if it's approved, to enable me to make the modifications here that will. I would recommend, and somebody's probably gonna ask the question, on this vote, do we do it the way we're wanting to or not?
Well, it hadn't passed
Yeah, it
yet.
hasn't
so
passed
we'll
yet,
do it
so
the way we've always
we'll
done
do
it.
it, we'll do it the old way on this one, and then starting with the next item, it'll change.
So you made the motion.
I did.
And
I seconded.
Nadine said, or Councilman said.
Okay, motion on the floor made by Councilman Worrell, seconded by Councilman Smith, to adopt the procedural guideline where we start voting with place 1 through place 6, and the mayor votes last. Is that correct? How does that sound? Do you have a,
Mayor votes on a tiebreaker, basically.
Well,
Well, that we can't do.
No, the mayor votes last.
No, the mayor votes, because
Oh,
the
always
mayor, the
votes.
mayor's
That's
a
in
member of this
charge.
body.
Okay.
The mayor always votes. She doesn't have to.
I just want to make sure I worded it correct.
But she doesn't have to.
I wouldn't be so specific on the order of the council voting,
Okay.
because we may want to mix that up at some point, just to keep one guy from always being. It's just,
He's in the
if,
spot.
mine was the mayor will be called after the council, and any vote requiring a roll call. And
Okay.
that's-
Used to be last.
We roll dice.
Trustee,
Arm wrestle, I don't care.
rotate every once a month, we rotate.
The way it is right now?
The way Councilman Morrell explained.
Okay.
Can we say it again?
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
No, no,
Councilmember-
no, I'm sorry.
No?
I thought you were asking, how do I write the,
I want to make sure that you got it, the word is correct.
Okay,
I'll get with you afterwards.
okay, yeah.
So,
Call the mayor first.
Yeah.
Call me first, and then after this, we'll do the other way.
Okay, Mayor Houston.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Councilmember Howard. Councilmember Howard. Councilmember Davalos.
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Yes,
Councilmember Worrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Motion passes. Okay, item G, executive closed session regarding any matter listed on this agenda in accordance with the Open Meetings Act as authorized by Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with legal counsel, and section 551.074, personnel matters. We have consultation with town attorney regarding legal issues related to the COVID-19 issue. We have consultation with town attorney regarding legal issues related to town personnel policy. And we have personnel matter related to city manager's agreement. Motion to go into executive session.
I'll second it.
Motion, was that Victor?
First, second.
Frank? I can't hear well.
Be my.
Motion on the floor made by Councilman Douglas, seconded by Councilman Carter to go into executive session at 6:45.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Councilmember Howard.
Yes.
Councilmember Davalos.
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
yes.
Councilmember Worrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Mayor Houston.
Yes.
I hope it's not like whatever that town.
We're on.
Okay, well, we're just gonna have to get. Just go audio. Okay, thank you.
Hold on, I'll just do this so we can see. Yeah, I'll pull it off
Oh, boy.
There
we go.
When were we going to do comments at the end?
Karen on Facebook.
We'll do comments at the end.
the, okay, I'll pull it.
All right, we came back, item I, consideration possible action in response to COVID-19 emergency.
I move that we amend the town's emergency order to specify that in accordance with Governor Abbott's and AG Paxton's orders and rulings, the outdoor activities included but not limited to hiking, biking, golfing, and fishing are not prohibited by the town's emergency order, provided people abide by social distancing and wear appropriate protection.
I second.
Motion on the floor made by Councilman Carter, seconded by Councilwoman Smith, for the amendment to our emergency declaration. I'm not going to read all that.
Mayor Houston.
Nope, we have to start the
Oh,
other way.
sorry.
That's okay.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Councilmember Howard.
Yes.
Councilmember Davalos?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilmember Worrell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Houston?
Yes. Item K, consideration of possible action regarding city manager agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve the city manager agreement.
I second it.
Motion on the floor made by Councilman Davalos, seconded by Councilman Carter to approve the city manager's agreement.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Howard?
Yes.
Councilmember Davalos?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilmember Worrell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Houston?
Yes, motion passes. City manager's report.
Yes, we finally registered with the city of, the town of Laguna Vista with the web EOC, which that's where we can get request funding and what have you. Also, we're gonna fill out the DSO, which how much money we spent so far, if we have, dealing with this pandemic. We also registered with the Texas Division of Emergency Management, so it's another way to get funding through the state and the government. So, and I continue to let people know what's going on based on the conferences and as well as I can. And it goes out to everybody. We go to Nextdoor, we go to council, and then we have a whole list of emails that go directly to residents in the area. So any questions? Go down the list, or you? Do I go down the list from our report? Okay.
No, no.
See all projects, do you like?
Seems to be was great.
Yeah, the guys did a wonderful job, and the staff, the public works did it. I said,
Good job.
so they did that. We're gonna put a floodlight out there, which was ordered before, which is gonna have more light during the evening, especially when we have events, when we can have events. I had the public works start cleaning the alleys and filling holes, and so that's being done really well. We're just doing different projects to enhance the city hall and the area, so. And there's more in the future, of course. Fire hydrants, we sent out a notice for tomorrow. They're gonna work on the fire hydrant at Sanders and Taylor. So all the neighborhood have gotten this notice for them that they're gonna be water shut down from 9 to 2 p.m. And on Thursday, they're gonna work on the fire hydrant at the library, which is right there in front of it. And they're also gonna have send notices to all the residents in that area that are gonna be affected. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will read the public comments. This is from, Counselor, do I read names?
Yes.
Okay. Laura Helke Stefopoulos, appreciate your service, Frank T. Davalos Jr. Huda Morales is watching. Christina Esquivel, yes, thank you. Laura Remy Flores, no one is wearing masks and can't understand what they're saying. Isabel Valdez, thank you for your service to the town of Laguna Vista, Frank T. Davalos Jr. Norman W. Esquivel Jr., thank you, Frank T. Davalos, for your outstanding work for the town of Laguna Vista, great job. Stephanie Wilson, thank you for recognizing Autism Awareness Month. Christina Esparza, we will miss your service to the town, Frank, but we're so happy for you to be joining the Point Isabel ISD School Board. Christina Esquivel, can you put the camera towards whoever's talking? We're not able to hear them clearly. Tom Keelan, very sorry, but we cannot understand what Commissioner Garza is saying. That's all. Any further business? Best wishes, Frank.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Frank, gonna make the motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Handshake and a hug.
What'd you say?
Handshake and a hug.
No. Okay, the motion is made by Councilman Davalos, seconded by Councilman Smith to adjourn at 7:53. Anna?
Yes. Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Howard?
I'm gonna miss you, Frank. Yes, adjourned.
Councilmember Davalos?
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Yes.
Councilmember Worrell?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Mayor Houston?
With regrets. It's been a great 6 years.
That's your last
Alright,
yes.
meeting adjourned, motion passes. Don't forget, Mike has the bank things that everyone needs to do,
Don't
sign the
pass it
bank
along.
things.
That guy, that.